Elections form an important part of every democratic society. It is during elections that political parties vie with one another in order to assume charge of public offices. Various countries have got different mechanisms using which they conduct elections. In India, the job of conducting free and fair elections is entrusted with an independent election commission which conducts election at both the central and the state level. As democratic societies have progressed and as we have become familiar with the process of campaigning and electioneering, we have also become very familiar with the concepts, or rather the fields of psephology and opinion polls. So many times we read in our magazines, in newspapers, we see on our television screens, we see analysts come together and they analyze the numbers which have been thrown in front of them by means of opinion polls. Now, when I look at opinion polls, I see two fundamental problems associated with them. Firstly, in a huge country like India, where you have 1.28 billion people, that is 128 crore, no amount of, you can say, sample size can be big enough to predict the mood of the entire nation. Bulk of the opinion poll researches which are carried out in India, they at max have a sample size of 10,000, 15,000, 25,000. Now, 10, 15 or 25,000 people cannot think and vote in the same manner as the rest 127 point I don't know how many crore people do. So the first problem is the sample sizes are not big enough to predict the mood of the entire nation, and therefore bulk of the researches which we have in India, they are all wrong. The second problem in regards to opinion polls pertains to the manner in which they can be manipulated. Earlier we used to have ideologically inclined journalists, and they used to work for different media organizations, both print and electronic, and their reportage used to be influenced by their political ideology, and their whole reporting of various incidents and their analysis, it used to be conducted in a manner so as to appease their political bosses. Now the situation has taken a paradigm shift. That sort of a situation has been diluted to a great extent, and now we have politicians having direct control over the media, because now they have huge amount of stake within the media. We have politicians owning newspapers and channels. So we have Namo TV in Gujarat, we have Jaya TV in Tamil Nadu, we have political stakeholders in ETV and so on. They are actually in a position to dictate terms to all these media organizations. Now, when you have a few crore rupees, it is very easy for you to go out, bribe some researcher, come out with whatsoever results you want, and then you can show those opinion polls on your television screens, and you can get them published in newspapers and show it to the entire world that your political outfit is an exceptionally popular one and you will be the winners of the upcoming elections. So the second fundamental problem in regards to opinion polls is that they can be manipulated in a very easy manner. However, the most important question is, do opinion polls influence voters? Because this question is at the center of the controversy pertaining to banning of opinion polls. I personally believe that opinion polls do not influence voters. If opinion polls were as influential as we think they are, then why is it that bulk of the opinion polls, they turn out to be incorrect? The best possible example of the lack of influence of opinion polls can be ascertained from what happened in 2004 in India. In the 2004 general elections, every opinion poll in India, no matter who was conducting it, all of them was saying that NDA 3 under the leadership of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee would come into power. But the Indian electorate, it voted out the incumbent government. Congress party emerged as the single largest party, and UPA 1 came into being. And not only in India, even if you go outside India, there have been numerous instances when people have actually rubbished opinion polls as a whole. So I personally believe that opinion polls are not as influential as we think they are. In fact, in my opinion, they are least influential. Then we have this debate, like, do opinion polls actually violate the concept of, the so-called level playing field which we need to have for all political players? Now, this whole concept of having a level playing field for everybody pertains to pitting politicians against politicians, political parties against political parties, and not opposition against the government. When I am contesting elections, I cannot make use of the government machinery which might be at my disposal if I am sitting in the government. So I have to go out and fight it out alone as a political entity and not as a governmental entity. That is what the concept of level playing field is all about. If you are saying ban opinion polls, then it appears very immature to me, because tomorrow you might say that my rally has got about 10,000 people, your rally has just got 500 people, so you will say that there is no level playing field. So my rally should also have equal number of people and your rally should also have equal number of people. Both of us should have either 500 people or both of us should have 10,000 people. So popularity, it cannot be measured, popularity cannot be a part of this debate concerning this level playing field, because it is but natural that in a democracy you have polarizations. Somebody is going to be more popular than the other. We have this question, at what time should we restrict opinion polls? Now, in mature and liberal democracies like the United Kingdom and the United States of America, we have opinion polls even being published on the day of the polling. Nobody objects to it. But there are other countries like Karan Thapar, as Karan Thapar mentioned in his show today, the last word, like Italy and Germany, where you have certain restrictions. In India also you have certain restrictions, that when the polling starts, I guess 3 days before the polling starts, you cannot show opinion polls. But I personally feel that in a mature and a liberal democracy, opinion polls should be, they should be given a free hand, and we should have the the researchers should have the right to come up with such polls even during the time of elections. However, there are certain ethical practices which researchers need to keep into mind while conducting such polls. For example, if I am conducting a survey on the Delhi Assembly election, then I cannot just survey Vasundhara enclave and say, now this is what the trend is going to be like in the whole of Delhi. I have to survey Vasundhara enclave, Mayur Vihar, Connaught Place, Dwarka, Jamia, Okhla, and I have to go across Delhi in all the directions, north, south, east, west, and only then will I be able to come up with a study which is somewhat close to predicting how the electorate would behave in the coming elections. Similarly, a lot of times what these media organizations and researchers do is that they go and have researches done in surveys done in 5 or 6 of the crucial states: Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and then they superimpose the results on all the 28 states of India. So this is something which I consider to be ethically incorrect. You should ideally go to all the 28 states of India, even if you're not going to all the pockets within these 28 states, but you should go to all the states, and only then should you say that this is what the voter mood appears to be like in the entire country of India. You cannot say that, you cannot just by surveying 5 states say that all the states are going to vote in this particular manner and this is what the parliament is going to look like. So I personally feel that opinion polls, they are good for a democracy. They reflect the voice of the people, and it is our fundamental right to express our opinion. But we should also the researchers should know that there is no need for any legislation as such to ensure that these ethical principles are applicable or enforceable by means of law. They should by themselves realize the kind of responsibility which rests on their shoulders, and they should conduct their researches in the most transparent and impartial manner possible.